Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. Taliban takeover sparks humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. UN calls for unity against global terrorist threat in Afghanistan. And terrorists target local political leaders in Kashmir. Let's begin the show with Afghanistan, where the brutal jihadi group Taliban have successfully seized power. Desperate Afghans are rushing to Kabul airport to flee the country, and various heart-wrenching videos of the takeover are flooding social media. With the fear of mass displacement of people from their homes, Afghanistan is now facing a humanitarian crisis. When the country is in chaos right now, one of its immediate neighbors is celebrating the Taliban's takeover. This immediate neighbor is no other than Pakistan. A report.
A desperate woman is handing over her child to a US soldier above Kabul airport wall so that her baby can be evacuated from the country and saved from the Taliban. She doesn't know whether she will be able to see her child again or not. Kabul airport has become a picture of chaos and desperation after the fall of Afghanistan into the hands of Taliban. People at the airport are begging American forces to be saved. Up the road, the Taliban are controlling the crowds trying to reach the airport. They are firing into the air, pushing people and beating them with guns. Several deaths have been reported in the intermittent firing taking place outside the airport. Afghans fear that they have been abandoned, and the women in particular are the most at danger. The Taliban return is catastrophic for them.
ما بی اهمیت هستیم چون که توی ایران افغانستان به دنیا آمدیم. من نمیتونم یک لحظه حتی اشکام نگه دارم. مجبورم هی تمرینشون کنم تا تونستم یه همچین ویدیویی رو بگیرم. کسی به ما اهمیت نمیده و ما توی تاریخ هم میمیریم. خیلی خنده دار.
The entire world is shocked, and the United Nations has expressed deep concern over the Taliban takeover. Many countries are sending military flights to rescue their nationals from Afghanistan. However, one country is celebrating the fall of Kabul. This one country is no other than Pakistan, which has historic ties with Taliban. Leaders of Pakistan are openly congratulating the Taliban, and many media workers in Islamabad are also joining the celebrations. Over the last 3 decades, Pakistan has viewed the Taliban as serving a twofold purpose. First, a Taliban regime in Kabul would ensure the Pakistan military a free pass over Afghanistan, a territory that it has coveted for strategic depth in its enmity with India. And second, it will ensure Pakistan agencies access over Afghan routes into Central Asia. Hence, Prime Minister Imran Khan is himself endorsing the Taliban taking over Kabul by saying that Afghans have broken the shackles of slavery in the war-torn country.
जब आप ज़हनी गुलाम बनते हैं तो ये याद रखें, असल गुलामी से ज़्यादा बुरी ज़हनी गुलामी है. ज़हनी गुलामी की ज़ंजीरें तोड़ना ज़्यादा मुश्किल होता है. जो अभी अफगानिस्तान में गुलामी की ज़ंजीरें तो तोड़ दी उन्होंने, लेकिन जो ज़हनी गुलामी की ज़ंजीरें वो नहीं टूटती.
The Taliban is undoubtedly seen as a proxy group in Pakistan, and therefore Islamabad has been providing the Taliban shelter in the country for decades. The safe havens for Taliban have existed in Pakistan virtually from the start of the US war on terror in 2001. Washington was aware of this, but because its need for Pakistan as a logistics back end for the war in Afghanistan was greater, it didn't push the Pakistan military sufficiently to act against these safe havens. Throughout the period, fighters of Afghan Taliban and its associate the Haqqani network, along with Al-Qaeda and a gaggle of other jihadists, have been crossing in and out of Afghanistan under the benevolent gaze of Pakistan Army. In the recent fighting that took Taliban all the way to Kabul, the same safe havens in Pakistan were used to launch their attacks in Afghanistan.
These are not your daddy's Taliban. These are 2.0 Taliban. Well-trained, well-equipped, disciplined. So, and where do they come from? Well, they certainly were not indigenously built in Afghanistan. And according to many reports, all of their wounded are being treated in Pakistani hospitals. Yet Pakistan doesn't know about it. Pakistani government doesn't know about it. Just like they didn't know about Osama bin Laden living in one of their most important military cities.
The Taliban victory could not have come without active assistance from Pakistan. Recently, Sheikh Rashid, a minister in Imran Khan's cabinet, admitted that Afghan Taliban wounded in the fighting were being treated in the hospitals in Pakistan. Moreover, as per the local sources, a large number of Pak-backed terrorists belonging to the Islamic State, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba have already entered the Afghan capital Kabul in the last few days. The Taliban leadership is aware of the presence of these foreign terrorists who entered the city carrying Taliban flag.
With Kabul falling into the hands of the Taliban, the UN Security Council under India's current presidency held an emergency meeting on the situation in Afghanistan. The Council statement called for an immediate end to the violence, the restoration of security, civil and constitutional order, and urgent talks to resolve the current crisis of authority in the country. Most of the permanent and non-permanent members of the Council said that the Taliban must ensure that the territory of Afghanistan is not used by terror groups such as Al-Qaeda and Islamic State.
The Taliban have seized power in Afghanistan after the US-backed Afghan government collapsed and President Ashraf Ghani fled the country. The incident brought an unprecedented end to a two-decade campaign in which the US and its allies had tried to transform the war-ravaged nation. Now, the Taliban has declared that the war in Afghanistan is over and the type of rule and the form of the new regime will be clear soon. But for the rest of the world, the war is not over. There is a deep concern about Afghanistan's future and the safety and security of neighboring countries. Recently, the members of United Nations Security Council voiced concern over the account of human rights violations in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan and fears that Afghanistan could become a terrorist safe haven once again. While noting that the situation of Afghanistan had dramatically changed since the last Security Council meeting, India stated that Afghanistan's neighbors and the region would feel safer if the country's soil is not used by the terror groups.
The current situation in Afghanistan has numerous challenges. However, there are a few opportunities. If there is a zero tolerance for terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, and it is ensured that the territory of Afghanistan is not used by terrorist groups to threaten or attack any other country, then Afghanistan's neighbors and the region would feel safer.
The last time the Taliban governed the whole country, Afghanistan was practically a pariah state. While brutalizing their own population, the Taliban provided a safe sanctuary for Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda organization, which orchestrated the 9/11 attacks on the US in 2001. Killing nearly 3,000 people. The Taliban takeover has now come as a massive morale boost for jihadis all over the world. For defeated Islamic State group militants who are looking to find new bases, potential hiding places are opening up in Afghanistan. Hence, while underlying the UN's commitment to supporting Afghanistan, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on the UN Security Council to use all tools at its disposal to suppress the global terrorist threat in Afghanistan.
I appeal to the Security Council and the international community as a whole to stand together, to work together and act together, and use all tools at its disposal to suppress the global terrorist threat in Afghanistan and to guarantee that basic human rights will be respected.
Under the US-Taliban agreement, the insurgents agreed not to allow any other extremist group to operate in the areas they control. But a UN report says that the Taliban has kept close links with Al-Qaeda, despite promises to the United States administration. This relation is based on shared struggle and ideological sympathy. Therefore, defense experts believe that the Taliban's attempt at image makeover is just a ploy to gain legitimacy. There is a complete disconnect between the more moderate, pragmatic words spoken by Taliban's frontman and the barbarous acts of revenge taking place on the ground.
We are extremely concerned about Taliban's not honoring their promises and commitments made in their statements at Doha and at other international fora. We've witnessed time and again how Taliban have broken their promises and commitments in the past.
As a neighboring and responsible country in the region, India is closely monitoring the developments in Afghanistan. There are no easy steps for the country now. Hence, each and every step of New Delhi needs to be taken carefully, as India's decisions will have consequences on regional peace and global geopolitics.
After the abrogation of Article 370 in August 2019, incidents of violence have reduced significantly in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, New Delhi is working in the valley to implement its vision for development, enhanced governance and socio-economic justice for disadvantaged section of the population. But this strengthening of democratic machinery in the region has become a thorn in the eye of Pakistani establishment. Pak-backed terror groups are attacking local political leaders and other elected representatives in the Union Territory. Recently, terrorists shot at a leader of a political party in Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam district.
After 2 years of abrogation of Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir, the region has seen significant development and relative peace. However, Pakistan is turning no stone unturned to create unrest in the valley. Frustrated by repeated failures at fomenting terror in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan's ISI is now targeting the very system which is designed to look after the well-being of the civilians in the region. Recently, Javed Ahmad Dar, a local political leader, was shot dead by Pak-backed terrorists at his residence in South Kashmir. The terrorists, supported by Pakistan's army and the ISI, have attacked a number of local political leaders and several other prominent people in various districts of Jammu and Kashmir.
Pakistan is a rogue state which is constantly endeavoring to think through ways and means of undermining the smooth functioning of the government in Jammu and Kashmir. With this aim in view, they have started resorting to selected, targeted killings of certain politicians and elected representatives of a political party. However, other parties which stand by the deep state of Pakistan are not being targeting. Their intention is twofold. Firstly, undermine the morale and motivation of these people, and secondly, drive a sense of fear and scare in them.
This was the second killing of a local leader in the Union Territory in the last 1 week. A 2-year-old child was killed recently, and 7 people, including a local leader and his 5-month-old son, were injured after terrorists lobbed a grenade at his residence in Kashmir's Rajouri district. Earlier, terrorists associated with Lashkar-e-Taiba killed another local leader, Ghulam Rasool Dar, along with his wife in South Kashmir's Anantnag district last week. In June 2021, Rakesh Pandita, a municipal councillor and a Kashmiri Pandit, was also shot dead by LAT terrorists in South Kashmir's Pulwama district. Such attacks have witnessed a spike in the last few months. These terrorist attacks are meant not only to cause large-scale damage to life and property, but also to create an atmosphere of fear and terror among the people of Jammu and Kashmir that would hinder the economy and progress in the valley.
जैसे मेरे ब्रदर दूसरे जो बीजेपी के अध्यक्ष हैं वो जब यहाँ से यहाँ तक आए तो उसके बाद उधर से ग्रेनेड उसी टाइम थ्रो हुआ जब वो नीचे से फोन करता करता ऊपर आया सर मेरा बच्चा अभी वापस नहीं आएगा.
Bleed India with 1,000 cuts has always been a state policy of Pakistan against India. Following the same strategy, Pakistan, which has failed miserably at subverting peace in India's Jammu and Kashmir, is now trying to hit India from different corners. Recently, Jammu and Kashmir police busted a Jaish-e-Mohammed terror module and arrested 4 terrorists along with their associates. As per an official statement from the police, they were planning to collect arms that were to be dropped by drones and supply them to active terrorists of Jaish-e-Mohammed in the Kashmir Valley. The terrorists were also planning to plant a vehicle-based improvised explosive device in Jammu before August 15 and also target other important parts of the country, including Ram Janmabhoomi Temple in Ayodhya and Panipat Refinery. However, the Indian security forces busted the module before it could carry out the attacks.
Problem with Pakistan is that it is using drones to now transport arms, ammunition and narcotics to all its underground, overground workers, and also its militants who are there. Like what the DGP said, there are some militants who are already trained and lying underground or lying dormant. The security agencies and Jammu and Kashmir police investigated the whole thing, carried it out, and today they have been very successful to bust this module of 4 of these JEM militants who have already reconnaissed the Panipat refinery, the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, and other targets. They are already planned how they would attack them, whether on 15th August or after. The entire planning was done by them, and they were just now waiting that some more arms ammunition would be coming, which they would be using over there.
Despite all the embarrassment and name-calling at various global forums, Pakistan continues to use terrorism as an instrument of its state policy. In a sophisticated world where the other countries are looking forward to establishing peace, harmony, and developing new technologies for the advancement of the world settlement, Pakistan's state policy of terrorism is causing violence and is creating an environment of distrust in the world.
Meanwhile, Pakistan, which uses terrorism as its state policy and spends endlessly on terror designs, is now targeting innocent Kashmiri youth to finance its nefarious activities. These youth are tricked by Pak-backed terrorist and pro-Pakistan organization under the guise of providing higher education in Pakistan, subsequently turning them into highly trained terrorists. Recently, Indian security forces busted the terror funding module of Pakistan and arrested 4 Hurriyat members for procuring medical seats in Pakistan for Kashmiri students in lieu of money which was used for fueling terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir.
Unveiling Pakistan's vicious agendas in Kashmir, Indian security forces arrested 4 persons associated with the Hurriyat conference, including Zafar Akbar Bhatt, a former Hizbul Mujahideen commander, for selling MBBS and other professional courses seats in Pakistan to Kashmiri students and using the money to support and fund terrorism. However, 2 of the accused are still absconding and are living in Pakistan right now. A conservative estimate indicated that the money involved could be around 4 crore per annum on the basis of the fact that allocation of seats for distribution by individual Hurriyat leaders was around 40 seats for MBBS program every year. Moreover, these seats were consciously given to the relatives or close ones of killed terrorists. It was revealed in the report that the Pakistani ISI kicked off this program in order to incentivize terrorism by compensating the families of killed terrorists. The money collected from the parents of the aspiring or potential students was used by Pakistan to support and fund terrorism and militancy in Kashmir Valley.
इस तफ्तीश में ये भी पाया गया है कि कोई 80 के करीब ऐसे केसेस हैं MBBS के जो अभी तक तफ्तीश ने निकाले हैं, जो हुर्रियत के चैनल से जो हैं वो पाकिस्तान गए। ये भी मालूम हुआ है कि 10 से 12 लाख रुपए की रकम एक सीट के लिए देनी पड़ती थी और बहुत बड़ी रकम इस जरिए से अगर 40 के करीब केसेस पर ईयर भी देखें तो जमा होती थी, जो लगभग 4 करोड़ के लगभग एक साल की कलेक्शन बनती है।
Moreover, Pakistan has been drawing Kashmiri students to join the terror ranks under the guise of student visa. This month, 3 terrorists belonging to Lashkar-e-Taiba were gunned down in Kashmir's Bandipora district. One of them was identified as Shakir Altaf Bhatt of Bandipora. His killing and subsequent finding that he has left the country on a valid passport for studies in Pakistan in 2018 and returned as a terrorist set alarm bells ringing in the security establishment in Jammu and Kashmir. Shakir Altaf is not an isolated case. As per Jammu and Kashmir Police, there has been an increase in the number of youth who had travelled to Pakistan for studies and had infiltrated back into the country as trained terrorists. This is in addition to over 100 Kashmiri youths who travelled to Pakistan on valid visas for short durations and have either not come back or disappeared after their return in the last 3 years.
There are cases, earlier I'd shared that there are 57 cases of people who had gone across, youth who had gone across, majority of them students, went on student visa. What studies? That is not sure. But the fact they went on student visa and when they went there, they went to the training camps, they were taken to the training camps, and then when they came back as terrorists. But that number 57 is not a fixed number. That is the number that came to our notice. This number could be even more. We are working out more such cases where people went on student visa and their particulars are either not known or it's not known whether they have come back. That process of verification is on.
Pakistan has been scrambling in recent months to avoid being added to a list of countries deemed non-compliant with anti-money laundering and terrorist financing regulations by the global watchdog, a measure that could further hurt its economy. However, be it deadly terror attacks, illegal drugs or manpower supply, or radicalization of Kashmiri youth, Pakistan has not deterred itself from indulging into anti-Indian activities. Islamabad's decades-long obsession with Kashmir has led to deprivation of food and development in the country. But despite its internal instability, failing economy and international isolation, the country does not compromise when it comes to funding terrorists.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@nin.com. This is Shreya Savijay signing off on the behalf of entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.